Clendon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Talofa lava. My question to the Minister of Finance and asked, is a lawyer working for Hong Kong-listed Natural Dairy New Zealand on the technical reference group advising the government on the review of the overseas investment rules? And if so, when was he alerted to this?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I understand that the technical reference group member Andrew Patterson of Bell Gully is working on behalf of Natural Dairy New Zealand. I'm not aware of any other members of the technical reference group acting on behalf of the company. The TRG is made up of senior practitioners with expertise in applying the Act. When we've considered improving the Act, we decided to talk to people who know how the Act works. They know how it works because they handle applications. The member should keep in mind that they are providing technical and legal advice, not policy, that will be determined by ministers and the Cabinet.
Order. Just before I call the supplementary, the question did ask when the Minister was alerted of that. It is a straight question. I believe the member deserves to have it answered if the Minister has that information.
Mr Speaker, I only became aware of Mr Peters' connection with Natural Dairy New Zealand last week when it was made public.
David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, when the Minister met with members of the Technical Reference Group on 18 February, did any of them suggest raising the threshold required for business investments that must be approved under overseas investment law for citizens from China or Hong Kong?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as I don't recall the details of those discussions, but if the member is suggesting that individual lawyers were making propositions in the interests of particular applications, that's an absurd suggestion. The applications are not processed by me or by the lawyers. They're processed by the Overseas Investment Office in accordance with the law for which that member's party voted, I'm quite sure, when it was changed 4 or 5 years ago.
David Clendon.
Will the Minister consider releasing the information relating to the February 18 meeting in which lawyers from 5 corporate law firms were invited to give their number one problem with the current screening regime, so that the public can see how fair and open his review of overseas investment is, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, as far as I'm aware, there is no information related to that meeting. I had a discussion with a group of lawyers about how they thought the Act could be made to work better. That's about it. There is no possible conspiracy here. They were giving some technical advice on, as I recall it, for instance, issues like the definition of land, which is an uncertainty in the Act. Any applications are processed by the Overseas Investment Office in accordance with the law that has been passed by this Parliament in recent years.
David Clendon.
To the Minister, do officials from Treasury and the Overseas Investment Office liaise with the members of the Technical Reference Group? And if so, how are conflicts of interest handled?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as I understand it, they do liaise with those members. The way any potential conflicts of interest are handled are that the applications are all handled by the Overseas Investment Office, which is separate from the Treasury, separate from the Minister, separate from the Cabinet, and administers independently a law that was passed by this Parliament in recent years.
David Clendon.
Could the Minister explain how Treasury's advice to the members of this technical reference group not to produce any formal report, thereby leaving no paper trail, reduces the risks of conflict of interest?
The Honourable Bill English.
No, I couldn't.
David Clendon.
Will the Minister release all advice from the technical reference group members at the same time the government announces its plans for the next step of the overseas investment review, so that the public can decide for themselves if there were any conflicts of interest, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, this is an open government, and all the processes of the government are subject to the Official Information Act, including that one, and the member may be disappointed to find that the group of lawyers have provided some pretty narrowly focused technical advice, mainly to Treasury. I had one meeting with them now 4 or 5 months ago, and all applications are actually processed, in case he's not aware, by the Overseas Investment Office. any policy changes that are made will be debated by this Parliament in the same open and transparent manner as every other policy change that goes through Parliament.
Question number 7, the Honourable Damien O'Connor.